Hey guys, Stay-Patient here with another quick Fallout 4 video, and today I wanted to give you a brief guided tour around my settlement. Now the reason I was going to do this is because in my time spent building this and defending it, I've come across some tips and tricks or sort of figured out some strategies and things that I hope will be useful if I pass them on to you, and most of it relates to defending your settlement. So I'm going to just take you to an area now where one of my weaknesses was exposed originally. Now, some of you may have seen my settlement in its early stages. Things have developed a bit, but obviously in the first videos I did, things were a little bit different. And I actually had one turret here just covering this little passageway. I figured they're probably not going to spawn here, the enemies. I'd never had them spawn there, so I figured just one turret is going to help out, shooting out in this direction. But they did spawn here, and they came up and they destroyed the turret with one grenade. Now I'm going to show you another location where I was kind of a bit weaker. I had the turrets up here, the two either side of the guard tower, and then down here I just had a straight wall going from the end of the building here all the way down, and then I had one little gap at the end with a turret in, pretty much like this one here. This one's covering this gap, and I had another one on this side. Now that meant that there was really only one turret covering the sort of bridge and this sort of bottom area of the settlement. And I didn't have any of this here, so I was hoping that these two turrets at the time would be able to shoot all the way down there, which they did help out a little bit. At the time I didn't have this big block here either, so they had a bit of a better line of sight. But the point I'm making is that when I got attacked, the two locations that the enemy spawned from were the very two locations that I was weakest in. So all the other sort of angles coming into the settlement were covered by a couple of turrets at least. But here we only had the one, and down the bottom we only had the one. So those were the places they spawned from. I don't know if that's coincidence, but I think maybe the enemies do tend to target the places with the lowest, I guess, resistance. Now, the one that got blown up here with the grenade, that made me try out this technique of putting a little roof over the actual turrets. Now this is a prefabricated little building or little kind of veranda thing. If I go to structures and then wood, prefabs, and it's the second one along, either of the first two really, they're just sort of an area where you can put your turret with a roof over them. And the idea of that really is to try and protect the turret from grenades, because obviously grenades come from the air, they throw them up and they kind of arch their way down, and I'm hoping that the turrets are going to hit the roof rather than, the grenades are going to hit the roof rather than the turret. And in some cases I've actually done two of these little prefabs, so I put another one in front, which helps even more because it means the enemies would have to throw the grenade pretty much straight forward, which they're not going to be able to do. So having a second one just provides that extra bit of protection as the grenade's coming down from a high angle. Obviously in some cases you can't do that. In some cases, like here, if I put another bit of floor there, it's going to block off the firing angle of the turret. So if the raiders get up close, then there's going to be more floor there, and the turret itself is going to struggle to hit them. So you want to be thinking about the direction in which the turrets can see, and thus where they're going to be able to shoot. So you can sort of look in line with where the actual turret is and think, right, is it going to be able to see there? Is it going to be able to cover what I want it to cover? And with that in mind, you can actually set up your turrets in such a way that they cover multiple angles at once. You'll start to get used to, where the spawn points are for enemies. You don't get attacked very much, but if you have the turrets in places where they can see multiple spawn points, for instance here, if the enemies come up the road, then this turret is going to, be able to get a shot on them. If they come in from this angle here, maybe they sneak behind the buildings and come around here, then it's going to be able to take them out there as well. And also I've got it lined up so that the post isn't blocking its view of this little passageway here, because if the raiders were to spawn down here and they made it past these turrets, maybe they came in from this angle, and there's only one turret that can shoot them, and they quickly run through, and then they come through here and you've got another turret facing them. And the enemies only tend to spawn from one direction at once. They don't come from multiple directions at the same time. At least I don't think they do. I haven't experienced that, so maybe later on they do. But if you've got turrets that can see multiple spawn points, then they're all going to be able to focus fire, in whichever direction the enemies spawn from. They're all going to be able to take them down nice and quick by working together. So again, you know, because they can spin all the way around, you guys may be aware of this or may not, but they can do a full 360. So for instance, these turrets here, although they're just going right and left, they're facing right and left and kind of turning in a small arc, they can turn all the way around when they sense movement. So this one, for instance, I've got shooting, you know, it can shoot back into the settlement if we get overrun, and the same with those two up there. But the ones down on the right here, the ones I've added on the right hand side as an extra line of defense, these ones have a wall behind, and that's because I don't really need them to be able to shoot back, but also because this area is quite open, so there's not a lot of cover for me to be able to duck behind when I am, you know, fighting the raiders that are attacking. So I've popped these walls here so that if they do spawn at the bridge or by this empty house here, which is where they spawned the other day, like I mentioned, then you can use this cover. You know, if these walls weren't here, I wouldn't really have much to stand behind. I have to go into this building to get in cover or find somewhere else, and it's a bit inconvenient. So that's just another little tip for you guys. Now, someone pointed out that I pretty much got an exterior wall around my settlement, I guess. These walls are made up of either little defensive posts like this with the turrets and the guard tower, or walls like actual walls themselves linked to my building here, and then we've got another defensive post down here. It's all about, you know, you have to have doors and stuff in them, but it's all about just not allowing the raiders to be able to shoot into your settlement itself, because of course there's valuable things like generators and water purifiers, things like that you want to protect, and also the people. Now this one here is just covering this little angle here, but I've got plenty of other turrets covering this end of the settlement. So again, these ones here, they can shoot up to the top of the road if they need to. This one here, if they did spawn in that direction, spawn. I'm getting tongue-tied. Anyway, the two at the top here that I was at the very beginning of the video, these two shoot to the top of the road, and these ones here can help out as well. But of course these are covering mainly this open area here. Now I'm going to show you quickly this other little building. This was just a bit of fun, really. I threw this together. I've created a building here for the generator that's powering the water purifying units. And you know, I've built up this little protective unit around it just in case the enemies come over the bridge and they try and get some shots off on it. And of course I put a couple of turrets at the top. Now because of the angles, you know, the angle that they can see, they can shoot towards the bridge, and also because this is an uphill, you know, this goes uphill here, I was able to set them back a bit further into the center of the roof there. Because of course if the floor was flat all the way along, then these turrets wouldn't be able to shoot down to the floor, but because it goes up, again, it's all about angles. It's all about setting up your turret so that they can see in different angles. I'm going to quickly show you again my exterior walls kind of extending around here, but I'm going to quickly show you oh, this here, I think, did I mention this? Yes, about the grenades. You know, if they're throwing grenades, obviously you've got the extra protection with the roofs there. I've got my little area here, my workshop with all my crafting tables and stuff. It's good to have these close together and also have a fast travel point. That's another little tip. If you fast travel right here, then you can get to your modifying and have lots of containers out and assign certain things to those containers. So I've got all my mods in that one, and I've got all my different aid items split into 3 categories. You know, if it needs cooking, or if it's already cooked, or if it's a chem, etc. And I've got things for armor and weapons and trash and all that kind of stuff. It's good to have a lot of storage because you're not going to want to carry things around. I've got literally thousands and thousands of pounds, you know, in weight worth of stuff. Again, I've got most of my bedding is in the 2 buildings over there. They're nice easy buildings to get up because they're pre-made for you. And then a few beds in here, got a bit of a reading area, I suppose. Some of it is just cosmetic. It's just nice to make it feel like home, but there's no actual practical value to some things like that. Although of course you can store all of your magazines that you find on those bookshelves. Up here, if you've seen any of my other videos, you might have seen that upstairs I had a pool table and a bedroom and stuff. But I've completely changed that now, and I've made it into a bit of an industrial warehouse for all of my power armor, with a little bit of a lit up runway for when I want to kind of run out and drop down to the little landing area here. And just sometimes you can make a big difference to the cosmetic sort of aesthetics of your settlement just through lights. You know, stick a couple of lights up and it makes it feel more like home. It sort of the lighting effects on this game are quite good, so it just gives it a better feel. I'm going to just point out one other thing quickly that is very useful, and a friend of mine pointed this out. He saw a video on it online, I think on GameSpot or something. But if you dress up all of the characters that are doing certain jobs a certain way, so for instance, I've got all my farm hands here dressed up in, you know, farm type clothes, flannel shirt and jeans. And then I've got visors on all of the shopkeepers. I think they're still going to be there. Yeah, it's getting late and getting dark, but they're still here. So I've got these visors on them. And then again, I've got all of the defensive people set up with armor and stuff just to help them be able to fight. But that way, when you're looking for someone to assign to, you know, a new shop or a supply route or something of that nature, you're going to know, you know, you can ring your bell, get everyone gathered together, and then you're going to know straight away who's available and who isn't, because you think, right, all of these are doing shops, so I can't use them, and all the people in the flannel shirts are doing gardening, so I can't use them, and that's quite helpful. But I think that's everything I wanted to cover, guys. It's you know, it's a lot of fun setting up a settlement. I will mention that, you know, I didn't plan this. I didn't sort of I didn't think, right, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to build. I basically started off with that basic wooden building and did a 2-story building, and then that was it for a while. And then I started adding things. I thought, right, I need a bit of defense, so I figured, well, I'll put some at this end of the road and some at that end of the road. And then I needed more beds, so I built some building for beds. And you just add to things. Sometimes it's a bit daunting when you see someone else's settlement. You think, oh crumbs, how'd you get that put together, you know? But it's all about starting small and, you know, changing things, adjusting things depending on weaknesses. You know, if you find weaknesses, like I mentioned earlier, and then sometimes you just scrap a whole floor. Like I scrapped the top floor because I wasn't really using it and put all this in. So it's all about adding things and just trying to make sure that all the important things that you do add are covered by defense. And I hope you can use the tips that I've given you about having a roof above the turrets, or a couple of roofs if you can fit it in. Obviously you want the turrets to still have a firing angle on where they're shooting, but sometimes you can afford to have a couple of these roofs, and that gives it a nice bit of protection. So yeah, there you have it, guys. I hope you're enjoying the videos. Go and check out the other ones that I've already got up, and I'm going to be keeping on doing more videos. I just do it for fun, really. I don't do this for a living or anything, don't really make any money from it. But it's just nice to know when these videos go down well and people enjoy them and they find it helpful. If you've got any subjects you'd like me to cover in another video, I'm always looking for more ideas on things that are going to help you guys specifically. So thanks for all the subscribes or subscriptions, whatever you call them. In the meantime, like I say, check out the other stuff. Give me some feedback, let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.